What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Sick Podcast Rams Recap, Episode 1. I am ready to go dive into some headlines, dive into the trenches, some analysis, and of course, we're going to be hitting on the upcoming game this weekend. So, Sammy, hit my intro music.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Rams Recap with LaQuan Jones.
They rush forward. Burrow to throw for it. He's hit. He's hit. He's sacked. He throws it away. He flings it away on fourth down. Aaron Donald got there, and you can build that man's statue out SoFi Stadium right now. The greatest of all time on defense does it in the biggest moment of Super Bowl 56.
The sickest Los Angeles Rams podcast. It's gonna be sick.
God, to hear that intro with the call on Aaron Donald making such a crucial play in the Super Bowl to say, ring me, baby. That was one heck of a game, man. And listen, I'm so happy and excited to have my own podcast, man, to be able to talk about the Rams and my fandom. I mean, look, if you know me, you know how much the Rams mean to me. I am such a passionate fan. I'm just a kid from New Jersey, man, and you're probably wondering, how the heck does that happen? How does a person from New Jersey on the East Coast end up a Rams fan? And listen, I tell this story many, many times. It's just one of the first games I've seen, one of the first games that I just fell in love with football, because honestly, soccer's my first primary sport. It's my passion, it's my love. But then I saw a Rams game, and I was like, those jerseys are pretty cool. And I stayed loyal through all those years. I made it through some dark times after that Super Bowl, after Mike Jones made the tackle, by the way. I used to lie and tell all the people at school, like, yeah, Mike Jones, yeah, that's my uncle. Yeah, he made that tackle. I'm a Ram. Like, yeah, I did that. I was one of those people. And if you're back in elementary school at Mercerville, and I told you that story, and I'm telling you now he's not my uncle, I'm sorry I lied to you back then. But obviously, Mike Jones ain't my uncle, man. And Mike Jones, 281-330-8004. I think that's his number. But if you know, you know. But anyway, man, I'm so excited to jump into this game, jump into the upcoming game, and talk about some of these headlines, man. Let's tackle some headlines right now where we got to deal with the injuries, man. Honestly, looking at this offensive line, man, we have yet to get the projected starting five that we were planning to have going into the season, man. It's very frustrating where we get guys coming back and then you lose a guy, and it's like we just want to get that starting five. I want to see Steve Avila in the center spot, manning that. That's originally where he was supposed to play, but Jonah Jackson coming in and being that center for basically on the return back from injury. But I understand that, it's very hard to get this O-line into sync and to gel and actually go out there and perform at a high level to protect Matthew Stafford. So Rob Havenstein with an ankle injury, unlikely to play this week. Sean McVay talked about it earlier this week where, it's less likely that he's going to be able to play this week and suit up, which is very unfortunate because, man, we need the guys on the line to protect Stafford, man. He was sacked 4 times last week. We're not going to win any games, if Matthew Stafford's on his back, and man, it just sucks, losing Joe Noteboom again, same ankle injury, re-aggravated. So he's on the injury list this week. And then on the defensive side, we got Byron Young, man, picked up a knee injury Monday night. Hopefully he's fine. It's a short week. Hopefully, the walkthrough, he was limited in practice this week. So I feel as though he should be trending in the right direction to play. Now, for a roster update, I'm really happy to say, look, Sean McVay said today that Tyler Higbee is a couple weeks away from the return of that ACL, MCL sprain. Very, very serious injury he suffered last season. It's good to see that the rehab is right on track for him to come back this season, put the jersey on, put the helmet on, represent those horns, and going out there, showing up and showing out. Now, we're wearing the white and royal pants this week. I bring this up because this is my personal favorite combination. I feel like we just play faster. We play better in these jerseys, but the white tops with the royal blue pants is definitely something that I like to see on the field when we're making the plays, when we're taking the ball away, when Matthew Stafford's lighting it up, because it has not been good these last couple of weeks. So let's jump into the Game recap. Monday Night Football against the Dolphins. Look, I'm not going to spend too much time on this game because we lost. We lost pretty bad. There was a lot of areas that we need improvement at. And listen, on this podcast, I'm never going to be singling out guys. I'm just going to be blankly talking about the position. I hate to single out guys out there because, again, this is the Rams podcast. It's all about love. It's all about family and support. So, therefore, I would never single out any guys. But more or less, I'm going to keep it honest when I talk about the position. The offensive line needs to improve. They need to find a way to get in sync fast because we are not going to win games if the Dolphins are going to be able to get after us the way they did on Monday night. They were being very creative and making a lot of design looks, faking pressure, and then sending other guys, sending corners. This is all the things that, you know, the offensive line need to pick up and help. Kyren Willams, Notre Dame guy, he is putting his game on top of saying he's one of the best pass blockers at the running back position. I believe it, but we're putting him through hell, putting him against some bad spots, you know, for him to pick up the slack of what's going on with the O-line. And I understand there's a lot of guys on that O-line that haven't played together since the summertime, since camp, just due to injuries, just not a lot of chemistry there. And it's really, really, really hurting Matthew Stafford and his offense. But another area that I want to look at is, man, the Dolphins defensive line were getting their hands up. They were stopping a lot of passing lanes, batting balls down. I mean, look, Calais Campbell, this guy is old as dirt and still going out there making the big plays, getting pressure, smacking the ball down. It's just like, wow. So these are the areas that we need to focus on, the trenches and also the run game. The run game has not been great these last couple of weeks, man. I just look at this run game and I know it's not Kyren Willams' fault. 3.2 yards per carry. This is not really the flashy numbers and the productive numbers that we're looking on offense, but this all leads back to that old line. So a lot of people on the internet, especially the fantasy streets, saying that he's an overrated workhorse. No, that is not the case. Please dig a little deeper of what's actually going on. This old line, it goes back to there. These guys aren't healthy. These guys are not fully in sync in chemistry-wise. They have not been able to have that play in the trenches. Just look left, look right. It's a different person every other week on the line. So, therefore, we just need to pump the brakes on the hate on Kyren Willams in that run game. But, man, this Dolphins game, I really feel as though it was a very winnable game. I just feel as though there was just some mistakes that we just didn't finish in, and that's especially the red zone. Terrible red zone offense. We are bottom of the table, man. Bottom of the table when it comes to the red zone, and I really feel as though it's not all on Matthew Stafford. These wide receivers, man, these wide receivers are guys like D-Rob, Demarcus Robinson, red zone, end zone Robinson. He needs more looks in that red zone. Cooper Kupp, he's Cooper Kupp. I don't really need to go on him. He's still him. I mean, clearly, that left-handed one-hand catch, he's proven he is still Himothy Johnson. I don't know. Himothy, whatever. I heard the kids say it. So at the end of the day, Cooper Kupp is still damn good. But we got to find a way to get Puka Nacua in the end zone. He does not have a touchdown this season. I know he missed time with the injury, but I think this weekend against the Patriots, I think he's going to find the end zone. And I really think that we're going to make the adjustments that we need to make to look ahead at New England and get this W, because it's very important we get this W, because at this time of the year, last year, things were looking a little 4-5-ish. We were looking 4-6. And then after that bye last year, we made the adjustments and went on the run. So I'm here to say the Los Angeles Rams are dangerous again, and it all starts with that defense, and it's going to have to start this weekend making the adjustments because, man, the Patriots, they have literally the worst O-line in the NFL. So if we can attack Drake May, which, if you know me, I'm a fan of Drake May. He's playing really good football right now, but when it comes to my Rams, he needs to hit the ground a lot coming from this D-line. So I think this game, the plan of attack needs to be, A, get the run game established. B, defense needs to be in sync, discipline. Do not get drawn out of the pocket. Do not let Drake May use his legs to extend the plays. Let's shut everything down nice and early, man, because this is a game that I feel as though this is where the run starts, where we start playing towards the playoffs. Start punching our ticket to get in and make a statement that we're dangerous again. You don't want to play us in the playoffs. You don't want to sleep on us because we have weapons on this offense, from the wide receivers, from the running backs to guys in the secondary that are just playing amazing ball. And there's one person on that defense that I want to highlight right now. Probably think it's Jared Verse, but it's not. An undrafted free agent linebacker, Omar Spate. This guy led the defense in tackles last week with 8, and he is making play after play after play these last couple of weeks. This is my player highlight right now that I want to give a game ball to him because I feel as though he deserves more shine. Not enough people are saying his name. Omar Spate. This guy is an undrafted free agent. He took over when Troy Reader was placed on IR. This guy's been showing up in the run game. He's been showing up in coverage. This guy has 0 missed tackles since taking over in week 7. This guy has been a huge storm to deal with when dealing with on 3rd down, on 4th down, making those big stops as well. Like I said, one of the main areas of concern that I had going into the season was the Rams not completing tackles. When you got a guy like Omar Spate that's hungry and has 0 missed tackles, that just fills up a hole early in the season that we were dealing with to a point where I was just like, teams are going to run all over us this whole season because those first 5 weeks, man, it was not looking good at that linebacker position, stopping the run. You got guys in the trenches trying to do their best, like Kobe Turner, the conductor. Shout out to that guy. I really feel as though that Brandon Fisk is going to show up and show out as the season progresses. He is amazing talent. I definitely feel as though, when we look at this weekend, when we look at this Patriots game, what's going to be really important is finishing the tackles because they still have some playmakers over there, regardless of what their record is or regardless of their offensive production. Demario Douglas can get loose on some fellas. He can make some ankles break. He can leave your shoes back on the sideline how fast he is. And then you obviously have Ramondre Stevens at the running back position that gives you a little bit of everything. So this is where the linebackers are going to show up and show out, stuff that box, make sure Stevenson doesn't get out on the edge because he has take it to the house ability and ability to show up in the passing game. So that was the recap. Now I want to jump into the deep dive of the trenches. I touched on them a little bit. Now I want to start highlighting some guys in the trenches, and I'm going to be starting with that D line. Jared Verse is a force to be reckoned with. Jared Verse, V8. He is a guy that you need to look every single week at the screen when he's on the field. That he's playing as many snaps as he's playing. I'm surprised he is not gassed. But him and Brandon Fisk, they have motors that cannot be stopped. Look, Jared Verse is a rookie, and it's some big shoes that he has to fill on that defense when we're looking for a guy that we could depend on to get that pass rush, to get the quarterback sacks, and Jared Verse is filling in real nice for Aaron Donald, I got to say, man, because those are some big shoes to fill, but it's a collective here where I think this D-line is giving me straight phases of that time back in 2014, 2015-ish, where there was Robert Quinn going crazy on the edge, where you had Chris Long on the edge as well on the other side causing hell. And then you had Michael Brockers and Aaron Donald. This brings me back to those St. Louis days where that defensive line was just relentless, man, just getting after the quarterback like there was no other. And Greg Williams, man, back in the day, he kept me watching the Rams games because I got to say, those were some really, really dark times, man. And look, as a kid, I was a teenage kid, and I stayed loyal all these years, going all the way back to 98, 99. I stayed loyal all these years. I made it through some dark times, people. But Greg Williams, shout out to that 4-3 defense and getting the right guys on that defensive line to make the Rams games worth watching, man. Because, man, to go 8-8, 7-9, to just completely lose out the season, win only 3 games, like these are really nasty records that as a Rams fan, I know you as a fan, was very hard to watch, to go out there and support them, to go up to these games and wear a Rams jersey. It was almost to the point where like I just was like, I don't know, maybe I should switch teams. But luckily, teenage me stayed loyal in those dark times, man. Like I'm a huge fan. I remember the Sean Hill era. I remember the Austin Davis era at quarterback. I remember, we looking at Sean Mannion as maybe the next guy up when Jared Goff was making all the mistakes. I remember Sam Bradford was supposed to be the golden child and take us to the Super Bowl, the most accurate quarterback. And injuries, man, injuries. I do remember, Sam Bradford, man, that one really stings a little because I did see great things from him, but then obviously things just went off the rails. And again, this is where you stay loyal as a friend. I mean, a friend, stay loyal as a fan, and you got to believe in some area of the field. And this year, right now, for this season, as bad as it looks, I still see some shine and light on where we could stay dangerous and make this run on the back end of the season when you're looking at this defense. And look, I haven't even touched on the secondary. They'll get their shine on the next episode, but we're going to try to just highlight the trenches here right now to where I want to flip to the offensive line. There are some dudes on this offensive line that need more shine. They need more light. You have Bo Limmer, a rookie that's coming in just wet behind the ears, showing up and showing out in the last couple of weeks of what he did. He's now the backup to Jonah Jackson, who's going to be switching and flip-flopping from guard to center for what I assume. But man, Bo Limmer, man, I think he needs more opportunities. I think we should find a way to get him on the line so he could help support the center and help support the guard or wherever. He just needs to be on the field because he did a really, really good job supporting Matthew Stafford. And when Matthew Stafford is upright and has time, we know how dangerous and high scoring this offense can be. We obviously look at the left tackle, the right tackle, when we have guys like Alric Jackson, when we have guys like Rob Havenstein, we still have yet to get the projected healthy 5, but these guys are really anchors to that outside that could really give Matthew Stafford time. So I think there's guys that need to be highlighted, like Steve Avila, Kevin Dotson. These are really physical guys in the trenches. These are where these guys put their hands on the defensive linemen and they put guys on their back, the pancake. They put them on their ass, if it's okay, I could say that. Well, yeah, ass is not a bad word, man. I heard my son say it the other day, and I'm just like, hey. But then I'm like, you heard me say it podcasting, so whatever the case may be. But, man, I just really feel good about this week, though, to focus in on the Patriots game, because honestly, when we look at the rest of the schedule for these Rams, man, honestly, I'm looking at New England. That's a W. Eagles defense does worry me, being that they're the number 1 defense right now in the NFL. But I really think that could be a very competitive game where we could sneak one out, especially if we have our guys on that O-line, the starting projected 5 healthy. And then honestly, you look at the Saints, they're down bad. Buffalo Bills might be a little bit of a difficult matchup, but they're not really that huge of a threat on offense outside of Josh Allen. I know they have James Cook. I know they have Khalil Shakir. Dalton Kincaid has kind of just been in the middle, but he's still a guy there. But looking at 49ers, obviously it's going to be rivalry week, and hopefully I can get my friend over at the NFL Network, NFL Fantasy Podcast, Marcus Grant, on the show so we can go back and forth, do a little trash talking, and get deep diving into that game as well. I mean, looking at the Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks to finish up the season, these are all winnable games. When especially I'm looking at the Cardinals, how they did us early in the season. That game honestly just got out of hand very early, but they had a new toy they wanted to get. They had Marvin Harrison go off on this, but I think it will be a very different story when we face them on the back end of the season with our guys healthy on the field. Cooper Kupp doing his thing, Puka Nacua doing his thing. At this point, I just feel like I'm rambling at this point, but hey, it's the first episode. Just sit, enjoy it. It'll get better because I'm definitely going to have some guests on here. So I'm not just sitting here talking to Sammy, talking to myself, sitting here looking at the camera, trying to give you some Rams information. I mean, I'm trying to get more structured, but at the end of the day, this is a Rams podcast where I'm just going to have a platform where I'm going to be venting and I'm going to be analyzing, doing some deep dives, having some fun on here, doing some trivia games. I mean, honestly, I feel like I've always wanted to do this podcast just because I wanted to air out all my fandom. Like, it's hard to just type all this on Twitter, and it's hard as a fantasy analyst as well to kind of hone in on your home team, I should say. But I really feel as though, this is going to be a great podcast at the end of the day when it comes to the fun guests that I have lined up. I got a few people lined up right now. Some familiar faces, some faces that we haven't seen before, and I really feel as though, having fans on here is going to help the podcast as well. It's definitely going to drive this to a new height once we get, the big names on here as well, current players, hopefully. I mean, if I had to think of top 5 people that I wanted to get on here who are current Rams, I would have to say I would like to get Kyren Willams on here, Cooper Kupp, obviously. I definitely want to get Christian Roseboom. He was on one last game, by the way, too, for the Dolphins, man. He almost had 2 interceptions. I definitely want to get him on here. He seems like a guy that deserves some more shine as well. I definitely want to get Blake Corum because he's a hot rookie at that running back position behind Kyren Willams that, just wait until he starts get going, man. That he has a motor on him as well. And I definitely want to get Jared Verse on here as well, man. Definitely. He's a great energy around the locker room, man. You see his mic'd up. You see his clips on over the Rams social, man. He's a character, man, and he's going to be around in this league for a very long time. He keeps playing at this high rate as well. I mean, that would be my top 5. Kyren Willams, Blake Corum, Jared Verse, Cooper Kupp. And damn, I forgot Puka Nacua, man. I got to get Puka on here too, man. He's always smiling. He's always great energy, man. It's contagious, man. Just even watching some of his videos, you're just smiling. Like, why am I smiling watching this video of Puka talking about nothing or talking about the game? Like, it's just great, man. I definitely feel as though, when we look ahead at this weekend, we should have a calm game. We should have a game where, as fans, we shouldn't be pulling our hairs out because we know when it gets to that, it's never fun. It's never fun because I'll be in my living room screaming, if we do something stupid or if we end up down by the half, like to the Patriots, that'll be one of those games that I probably have to walk out of the house. Probably have to go take a walk to the nearest adult drinking store to get through the game because, man, it definitely gets wild. But, yeah, man. Sammy, I got to be honest. This is the first episode. We're already 20 minutes in and, I ain't got nothing else. I mean, we got to get more structured here, but I'm definitely going to have something more exciting next week's episode when I have my first guest on, and I'm not going to reveal it, but it's going to be one of those guests where I just say it should be a surprise. Just hopefully things work out on the back end and we can get things going and get this podcast off the ground and have some more structure here. Because honestly, this was just an introduction of just me spilling out of what I had planned and what's going on. I think I did a good job of deep diving, but please make sure you guys are tuning in each and every week. I'll try to get these out twice a week to where I can get the information out, recapping the game, looking ahead of the game, and make sure you guys are liking, subscribing as well, and leave comments below on what you guys think about the episode as well. And I definitely want to get you guys hitting that bell so you can be notified as soon as the episode's up to stay up to date with the latest and greatest of the Los Angeles Rams, the most dangerous team out in the West. And please make sure you guys follow me at Real Deal Fantasy on all social media platforms. Until next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Rams Recap with LaQuan Jones on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.